Hello everyone, it's Cindy with Monarch Mom DIY. Welcome to my channel. On my channel, I like to bring you the best tips and tools for creating beautiful home decor on a budget. So today I am bringing you my first 3 fall farmhouse home decor DIYs for this season. I hope you guys enjoy what I have made, and I hope you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. Here we go. For project number 1, we're using 4 glass jars, some jute twine, some fall florals, and some chalk paint in these new 4 colors. Well, the 2 small ones are new to me: Malachite, Maize, Crimson, and Hazelnut. I originally was going to use 4 of the same jars, but then decided to just use 4 different size jars that I had on hand. So here, this is a new color that I found this summer in Colorado. It is a bright green called Malachite, and just like all the other Waverly chalk paints, it works amazingly well. I did end up doing 2 coats of paint on the glass jars just because I wanted it to be pretty solid, but I think this paint does a great job in covering. So I did the green, yellow, red, and the tan color for my 4 jars. Instead of using the sticker letters that I showed, I decided to use 4 of these wood letters from Dollar Tree's Crafter Square section to spell out the word fall. This Waverly chalk paint color is also a new one called Merlot. It's a really pretty wine purpley red type color, so that's what I decided to paint these letters with. I decided that the jars looked too perfect, so I'm going to take my antique wax and I'm going to roughen or just age these jars a little bit by brushing some of the antique wax on and then rubbing it off to give them all an aged look. And here's how the jars looked after the antique wax. I liked it much better. Next, I'm taking some of this burlap sack that I had on hand. You could, of course, make this step easier if you had some burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. I have seen out now in the fall, the kind that has the frayed edge. But here I'm just using what I have on hand and cutting a strip and then measuring how much I need to go around each of my 4 jars. Before I glue the burlap to each jar, I am taking a few strands out of both the top and the bottom just to give it that already frayed fringe look. And then I'm just simply going to hot glue each strip of burlap around each of my jars. I did use the yellow one first because I wanted all the burlap to be straight, and since this is the shortest jar, we're going to start with this one and then line up the other jars with it. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. So here you can see how all the burlap is lined up, no matter how tall the jar is. Next, we're going to take our hot glue gun and just glue these letters that we painted earlier, one to the center of each of our jars on the burlap ribbon. And here they are with the letters painted and glued on. I love how colorful this project is already, but still in fall colors. So I'm taking some of my jute twine from Walmart, and just to dress up the top of each jar, I'm going to wrap and hot glue jute twine around the threads of each of the jars. And here's our jars with all of them having the jute twine at the top. The last step is just to take any florals that you have on hand. They can be fall florals, they can be greenery, whatever you'd like. This is just what I had. I'm just trimming down some of the stems for them to fit into the jars. I don't even know what you'd call this. It almost looks like brown eucalyptus maybe. I've had for a while from a thrift store. And then I'm going to show you here in a second what I did get from Dollar Tree this year are these little wheat bundles. They do come in a few different colors. I liked this natural colored one, and just adding one of those to each of my jars. And here's a last look at our first project. I am so excited for how this turned out, and I used mostly things that I had on hand. The wheat was the only thing that I purchased new for this project besides the new paint colors. For project number 2, I'm using 4 of these 5-gallon paint stir sticks, some of these wooden rectangles from Walmart, some wood glue, again some fall florals, and some chalk paint. So I'm going to use 4 sticks for this project, and I'm going to glue them together in sets of 2 by putting the ruler markings in the middle and just gluing those, lining them up. And then I'm going to use some of these handy dandy clamps from the automotive section in Dollar Tree just to hold them together tightly until they are completely dry. I have seen some this size also, these clamps, in the new Crafter Square section, along with some of the mini ones that I also use sometimes, but they are a really handy tool to have. Once those are dry, I'm taking 5 of these rectangular wood pieces. Again, these come in a package of 6 at Walmart for under $3. They're very good quality. I'm only going to use 5 for this project. I guess you could say I'm building kind of a tall, skinny pallet or a ladder. You can call it whatever you'd like, but I'm going to use my Gorilla Hot Glue to glue my paint stir sticks to the side of the rectangle wooden slats here. And we will do that to both sides. Okay, once I have the base of my sign built, I am going to use my Waverly Antique Wax. And if you've seen any of my latest videos, you've seen me use this. I paint it on, then I paint it on the next section, and then I go back and rub off the excess from the first section that I painted. That just lets it sit for a minute, and then it actually dries quite a bit faster when you wipe that excess off. And I just love how it brings out the grain, the natural grain of the wood, and just makes it look really, really pretty. The other thing about this wax that I love is that there's absolutely no smell. A lot of times stains can just smell very, very strong, but there is no smell at all with this, so that's why I love to use it so much. I am going to use it also on the sides and the tops and bottoms of each of the wood slats, just to basically cover all of the piece. And here's what it looks like completely dry. Next, I am going to use some of these poster sticker letters, and I had a couple different options there for pumpkins. But first of all, on the third or the middle rectangle, I'm going to use some of these sticker letters to spell out the word fall. Next, taking one of these jumbo chisel tip Elmer's paint markers, I'm just free writing the word happy. And notice I started with my middle letter and then went to either side of it. I really like this big chisel tip on this marker for some projects like this. I use these Elmer's markers all the time, and I get them at Walmart in their paint aisle. Speaking of the Elmer's paint markers, I'm going to use a medium tip and just add a little bit of detailing to the word fall by creating a shadow of the black letter with the white marker. I really love this technique and how it really makes the letters stand out from the project. I decided I wanted to cover over the white with this red paint marker, but I was glad I did the white underneath because I think it made the red pop out more. But here I'm just tracing over the dry white with my medium tip red. Next, with my white, my medium white tip marker, again, I'm going to write the word y'all. I don't live in Texas or the South, but I really like this. Happy fall, y'all. I think it's so cute. And I'm just, like I said, going over that with my medium tip white paint marker. You'll see this pumpkin that I have here. I was going to use some of the cutouts from Dollar Tree, but I had this one that I bought at Dollar General last year. I just took off the metal hanger that was on it. It also had a tag that said Happy Harvest. I just removed that so I could use that for something else. And I'm just hot gluing this to the bottom of my sign. Lastly, at the very top on our first rectangle, I'm just going to arrange some fall leaves and some green leaves and also a sunflower just to give finishing touches to this fall sign. So while this part doesn't really need any explanation other than just do whatever you think looks good, I did want to ask you guys, I know it's only July, it's not quite August yet, but what are you most looking forward to this fall? I would love to know in the comments. For me, I love watching the leaves here in Michigan change colors. I lived for about 25 years in Arizona where you don't see a lot of that. So I was very excited when we moved back to the Midwest to live in a place where you actually experience all 4 seasons. So I love all the colors of fall. So what do you look forward to most this fall? And here's what the finished sign looks like. I was very happy with how this turned out. And again, that I used items that I had on hand. You can make this however you want with the florals. You could make a sign like this for any season. Project number 3 is kind of a recycled project. I'm using some various cans, some raffia, again some florals with leaves, 3 wine corks, and some chalk paint. So the first thing I'm doing here with my Fix-All adhesive is I am building 3 different sizes of pumpkins out of these cans. I believe these 2 smallest cans were like diced green chilies, so I'm just stacking those and gluing them together. And then of course you've seen my canned chicken cans. I still have some, so I'm going to stack 2 of these for my medium-sized pumpkin. And then the large can must have been from spaghetti sauce, maybe something like that. So here I'm using another new to me color of Waverly chalk paint. It's called Pumpkin, and this is going to be the color for our largest can pumpkin. And then you'll see what I'm going to do is I'm going to progressively add a little bit of the yellow color called Maize to make 2 other shades of orange that are a little bit lighter. So here you can see I'm adding some of that Maize chalk paint and just mixing it here on my plate until I get a slightly lighter shade. And here I'm adding just a little bit more of the yellow for an even lighter color for my smallest pumpkin. Once my pumpkins were dry, I'm now taking some scissors and just snipping some of these green leaves for the top of each pumpkin. I'm going to do 3, 2, and then 1 leaf on the smallest of my pumpkins. Once those are all hot glued down, I'm taking 3 wine corks, and the side that has the larger hole in it, I'm just putting some hot glue there and sticking it down in the center of my pumpkin to be the stem. I decided I wanted to add one more thing to these pumpkins that I hadn't planned originally. I took some green floral wire from Dollar Tree and wrapping it around this Sharpie, I'm making it into a coil and then adding this by hot gluing it to each of my 3 pumpkins. If you don't have floral wire, you could always use like the fuzzy green pipe cleaner or whatever else you have on hand that would do the same effect. And the last detail for each of our pumpkins is I'm going to wrap some raffia around the center of each pumpkin and then add a little raffia bow. Again, these were all things that I had on hand, which is kind of what I'm needing to do right now because I have quite a stash of crafting supplies. And here you can see I'm just making my 3rd simple raffia bow, just tying it like a bow and then just working it until I get the 2 loops the size that I want, and then hot gluing that to the raffia. Here's how my recycled craft project turned out. My tin can pumpkins. I think they're absolutely adorable, and I can't wait to set them out this fall. Again, thanks so much for joining me today on my channel for my first fall DIYs of this year. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what you are most looking forward to this fall. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps me to grow my channel. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.